Hi everyone, Frankie here, and welcome to 7 things you probably didn't know about in Call of Duty Warzone. And a huge welcome to all of my new subscribers. Thank you for your show of support, it means a hell of a lot to me. In this video, I'm going to show you things you may already know, and possibly some things you don't know. Especially for those beginners, you might not know some of this stuff, so it's just going to help you out. So let's get straight on with the 7 tips you're dying to hear about. So tip number 1 is something I've only just started doing recently, despite having played this game for a while. It's the buy stations. I use buy stations to my advantage now in Battle Royale, especially towards the end game. There is always going to be players who are approaching, they're using, or they've just finished using the nearby buy station. Most of the time they're at a distinct disadvantage when they go and use these. Mostly they're buying one of their team back, grabbing the loadout, or they're getting some armor plates. So with your team, you have a massive advantage over them. So you can get over to them quickly and know that they're either a man short, or they don't have enough armor to deal with all of you, or they've got tons of cash ripe for the picking. Plus, these buy stations are generally outside and out in the open, which means you've got multiple avenues of attack to eliminate one extra team from the lobby. Just be aware that there is likely to be one of their team parachuting above you, and they might spot you. So just keep that in the back of your mind. The next tip you might not have known about has to do with the current night mode. It works just as well in day mode, but this tip is super effective in the night. And that's the tracker perk. You might find a lot of time that you're parachuting back into the map and can't quite see what you're landing into, but when you've got the tracker perk enabled, those footsteps light up like a Christmas tree, which makes choosing your landing zone much easier. You can either divert and land at a safe distance from that player, or you can know exactly where they are and go in for the kill. But just keep in mind that they can hear you coming, they'll hear your parachute opening and they'll hear you landing, so they're probably going to be ready for you. Tip number 3 is one where a lot of people are already aware of, but I found when I was first starting out playing this game that I wasn't paying much attention to the information being thrown at me on the screen. Specifically, that's the yellow writing that appears in the middle of the screen when downing or killing a player. More specifically, when I've killed a player and it shows team wipe, but I completely missed that message and spent the next 10 to 15 seconds wondering where the rest of the team is, not realizing that there isn't anybody. The text comes and goes so quickly that you really need to pay attention to this so you can move on and find a decent position to move into without thinking there's somebody behind you. So just keep that in mind. When you're downing and killing players, just watch that text in the middle of the screen. Tip number 4, I see a lot of people forgetting about this, how effective it is, especially in endgame Battle Royale, but more especially in Zombies mode, and that's the advanced UAV. In order to get an advanced UAV, you're going to want to buy and use 3 normal UAVs from the buy station, and use all 3 in one go. If you're working in a team of 3 or 4, you're probably going to have a lot of money between you, so once you've bought everything you need to buy, like self-revives, armor plates, and you have some spare cash going, have everybody buy a UAV and then use them all at once. What it's going to do, it's going to show you the location of every person in the lobby and the direction they're facing. So you can take a mental note and adjust your path as you move through the map. This will also show up the players who are running ghosts, so it's amazingly effective, especially during endgame. Use it wisely. Tip number 5, I didn't actually know about this one for a long time since I never really thought to ask anybody. You might have seen way across the map those really bright stars in the sky and wondered what they are. Well, those are players completing recon contracts. When you're sitting at a recon box and completing the recon contract, a flare will go up and show everyone on the map that you're doing a recon contract. And if you want to complete that contract, you've got to stay put and wait for the contract to complete, which means other players can zero in on your position, move in and attack you all at once. So you're pretty vulnerable since these contracts tend to make you sit out in the open until the recon is complete. However, tip number 6 directly ties into the recon contract, which people may not know, because they tend to stick with bounty and scavenger contracts. So when you complete a recon contract, it's going to show you the location of where the next circle will end up. And you can stack these up if you do them one after the other to show you where the final circle will be. Also, if you've done multiple recon contracts, going back to the UAV tip, you've done all the recon contracts and you have enough money to buy an advanced UAV, you can see who's around, which team you're likely to get into a fight with first. It's just worth bearing in mind. So for my final tip then, tip number 7, one of the best things I ever did in Warzone was to turn off motion blur and weapon motion blur. Why was this the best thing you ever did, I hear you ask? Well, because when you're running around and scanning the horizon and building windows for other players, I want to be able to see clearly what's in front of me, rather than having the game design make it much harder on my vision than it needs to be. If all I can see is a blurry mess in front of me, I'm not going to be able to spot those people sitting in windows or on rooftops, because they'll just be a blurry mess until I stand still. So turn it off. I don't even know why this feature is in the game. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you find this information useful and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and click on that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Toodle pip!